If you've been buying all your cards online this year, I got news for you. You're only seeing half the hobby, because the real magic, it's still happening in person at local card shows. And if you stick around, I'll give you a top 5 or maybe even a top 6 card shows to hit this summer around the country. But first, let me show you just how or why these shows are so important, and they still matter so much to this day and more than ever. Before I even start, Insider Club, you probably heard this a bazillion times already, but comment Insider, I'll send you a link you can sign up with your email, and it's for release dates, box release dates, card show information, news in the hobby. I'm sending out once a month. The June one is coming out soon. I'm working on that right now as we speak. So I'll probably be sending it out this weekend. So look forward this weekend. And comment Insider, and I'll send you that link. You can get in, and it's free of charge, no money, no strings attached. So the deals you'll never find online, meaning it's not just about nostalgia, but it's about like nostalgia being going to card shows and things like that, but it's about leverage. Leverage meaning like when you go to card shows, you can talk to the vendors and go back and forth. You can barter with them. You can bundle things. You see YouTube videos all the time, or TikTok videos, Instagram videos, people going to this thing, and I'll say, I'll give you $500 for this one, and I'll give you $100 for this one, and $150 for this one. And then they bundle it and they save some money, and the dealer's like, okay, well, I just sold 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 cards, and I made a lot of money on them, so here you go. So bundling is a very, very great strategy where it's almost impossible to do that online. Shipping, eBay fees, you're going to card shows, there's no shipping, there's no eBay fees, there's no strings attached. It's like, okay, here's the card, $20, and you can barter them down to $15, or the card's $500, you can maybe get it down to $425 if you bundle and things like that. If you ever watch like the American Pickers, they always bundle things and say, okay, I'll give you this and this and this, and then maybe I can get that one for less money, whatever that could be. So it's a great thing to do, and it's very hard to do that online. So that's why local card shops or local card shows are so important to this day, because bartering and saving money is so much more important than it was, I believe, in the years past. So very, very good thing. Like, even having bins, you have $5 bins, they turn into $3 bins quick, and you can buy 3 slabs and get 1 slab free, or talk them into doing that and stuff like that, going back to the bundling section, right? I saw some people, snag like PSA 10s for like 40% on their comps because the dealer wanted it gone. And there's deals are happening all the time, and if you want to save money going to these card shows, and even smaller card shows, I'm going to get into the video eventually, right? But even smaller card shows are even more important, because you see sometimes things that you never see at these larger card shows. So I'm going to get into that too. But the takeaway here is, like, don't underestimate how much power you have in person going to these local card shows, because going even at the end of the card shows, like if the card shows like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it goes to like 5 o'clock on Sunday, going at 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock at the end of the day on Sunday, people are trying to get rid of stuff, and you can find great deals, half off deals, sometimes of these different things, right? Instead of going like right in the morning on Friday morning, where they still have 2 days to sell their product, right? So you're not going to get many good deals, when you do that. But you can probably find the good cards. But if there's still cards left over that maybe it's been picked through and stuff like that, and you want, you can get them for like half off sometimes, because people just want to get rid of them and get rid of their inventory and make money. So that's a great thing that I do, is like these card shows. I may go like on a Friday and just like scope out what's going on, and then go back like the last minutes of the end of the card show, because people are packing up and be like, yeah, I'll just give this for free, or whatever that could be. So that's a great strategy that I do that maybe you can do if you go to these local card shows. So that's the big takeaway, is go to smaller card shows, go towards the end. That's a big thing because these are things that you really can't do online. My second segment is the trade culture. The trade culture is back, meaning like it's exploding again, trading with other people, right? It's obviously way more fun face to face, right? You can trade all you want. You can like send like best offers in to people on eBay, but they have no idea who you are. They have no idea if you're just trying to flip it real fast, or if you have kids, you're trying to get it for kids, right? And kids are a great thing to bring to car shows. They can experience all this stuff, right? And also you can get things for better prices because people are nicer for some reason to kids than they are to grown adults. Because it's a kid's hobby, right? So that's the funny thing is when you're bringing these things, right? You might have your daughter, or your son, or your nephew, or niece, or whoever that could be, and you bring them to these local card shows, right? And they'd be like, oh, sometimes dealers give cards for free. Like when I have tables at like my local card shows around my area, kids come up. I have a whole bin just to give cards away for free to kids, because that's the main thing why they're there, and that's where you want to prolong the hobby, and they're going to remember that for the rest of their life. When they're doing that stuff, be like, oh, remember I went to that card show when I was 10, and I have all these like Ohtani or Elly De La Cruz rookie cards that really aren't worth that much, but I still have them and they gave them to me for free. I didn't spend any money on them. So that's a really good thing to do if you're actually a dealer, or if you have kids, you can get a lot of cards for free too. But the trading culture is back. I saw a guy walk up with an Elly De La Cruz auto, and he wanted to trade it for a Paul Skeens auto. That's a kind of a fair deal. They're both high-end cards and high-end autos, and they both go for thousands of dollars if you have that. But of that card, so like if you were a Pittsburgh Pirate fan or a Reds fan, you can barter and deal. Instead of paying $1,000, maybe you can sell or trade this auto for that. And really online, that's not really happening too much online, or if it is, it's very hard to do because you're at the go to these people. They could be a different part of the country, and like you're face to face right there, and that's where you can do it. I saw a 12-year-old. He had Ohtani, like a rookie lot of like 4 or 5 cards, and he traded it for a PSA 9 Mahomes, right? And he won Mahomes so bad, and then it was just all rookie cards with Ohtani, or I think it was, no, they weren't rookie cards, but it was like an Ohtani a lot. It might have one rookie card in there. I forget. I was trying to look at it from far away. But both sides eventually were happy because the kid won the Mahomes card, and the dealer has like a couple of Ohtani cards. So that was a pretty cool thing. These deals, they don't happen on Facebook groups. There's less risk because you're face to face, whereas like you don't know if the people that are on Facebook groups or Reddit groups or eBay or wherever that could be, you don't know. Sometimes they could be just like trying to get your money and stuff like that. So there's less risk involved when you're face to face and you're right there. And again, going back to my first segment, you can barter. Okay, he has that card listed for $22. Maybe you get it for $18 or whatever that could be. And you could look it up right then and there on eBay, and when the last one is sold and stuff like that. So you can kind of see real time better than when I was a kid. Like you had your Beckett book and that was it. So now you can see real time when the last one sold for, how much it sold for. Where did it sell? What kind of card was it? All different kind of stuff, and you can kind of get real-time information on what's going on. So there is less risk when you go to card shows than there are online. My third segment is the pulse of the hobby, meaning like what cards are hot. If you go to a show, you can see what everyone or who everyone is digging for in like the dollar bins or the $5 bins or the $10 bins, or what slabs are just sitting up there for the entire card show going untouched, or what is everyone like stopped around this? Why is everyone stopped around this one dealer? Because they have these like 3 main slabs that everybody wants or something like that. So like that's the pulse of the hobby, and you can really see who's going after what, and which cards are important, which cards are not really important, and maybe you can get a good deal on the ones that people are not buying and things like that. Elly, Skeens, vintage Jordans, they're all still hot. And the last card show I went to last month, people are wanting all those cards, especially Skeens. Elly was really, really big last year, but still as big this year. You still have some Jackson Holidays. You have some Wemby slabs that are obviously large or big. Zion is really cold now for some reason, not sure why. I don't know why, but he was big years ago. Now, he's kind of cold now. But I mean, like every 10 minutes, if you stand near a dealer, every 10 minutes somebody's asking for, like, do you have a Wemby slab? What kind of Wemby slabs do you have? You know, and Paul Skeens and stuff like that. If you go to baseball, even if you go to baseball stadiums, go to see a game, you know, they have card shows. Sometimes they have card show kiosks in the concourse you can look at, and you know, people are always around there looking for, you know, Paul Skeens or Ellie De La Cruz or Harper's, Ohtani's, and the big names and things like that. And it's harder to make deals there because their prices are jacked up anyway. But, you know, card shows, you can definitely make deals on, you know, if the card's $1,000, maybe you get it for $800. I mean, I'm not spending $1,000 for a card, but I mean, some people have, you know, loads of money and they want to try to get deals out. Maybe they want to flip them, whatever that could be. I'm not sure, right? But, you know, card shows are the thing to go to if you want to try to find deals, and that's a very, very important part. And if you want to gauge the pulse of the hobby, card shows are a perfect example of where that can be and where you can find these things. And that leads me into, you know, hidden gems you'll never see online. I mean, eBay has everything that you can imagine, but like the really weird stuff, right? If you watch, again, American Pickers, right? You know, there's not many things that are on eBay that American Pickers are getting for themselves, you know? These are like, you know, back in the woods in like South Carolina or Tennessee, and they're finding all these, you know, crazy things that, you know, were very, very popular 50 years ago, but have, like, you know, have been forgotten about. And the same thing's happening like at these smaller or local card shows, because, you know, eBay has the popular things, but the unpopular things are, I guess, are what is more popular for me for some reason, right? Because I like looking at the rare stuff and getting the rare stuff and trying to find the rare stuff that not everybody has, and I'm not spending millions of dollars for either, you know? So I found a guy that had a binder like this was like 6 months ago, that had a binder of like minor league 1980s cards. I didn't even know that existed, right? And that was crazy. That just kind of, you know, took me for a loop, because I was like, what? 1980s minor league cards? I didn't even know they existed, right? Another one was a sealed Topps factory set from 1991 for like $15. So I bought that, $15. Sealed Topps factory set for $15. That was a no-brainer right there. You know, that you're not going to find maybe sometimes these large card shows, but like the smaller ones that people are just pulling out of their closet for the first time, and you're seeing that for the first time, these local or these smaller firehouse card shows or town card shows. Those are the ones you got to look through. Or even sometimes like garage sales and yard sales. Around my area, we have a very, very like a town-wide yard sale that we do every September. And like sometimes people have cards and toys and things like that, and Nintendos and all that stuff. You can get them for dirt cheap, and like they're trying to get rid of them. You know, the wife's trying to clean up the basement, and you know, and they're trying to get rid of this stuff, and they're, you know, very, very reasonably priced, and you can even get them down even further than that. Some dealers, you know, close out, or they clear out their closets or their basements, and they're not optimizing listings. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to get rid of all their inventory that they may have had since they were kids, you know? And a lot of that has nostalgia for them. So like they might jack up the prices because of the nostalgia for them. But it is very important to look at, you know, and talk to like even just going and just talking to the people about, you know, how did you get this? Why did you get this? How long have you had it for? That's like the main thing. It's not like buying stuff and selling stuff and trying to make money, but it's like the community aspect, which I'm going to get into in a second, right? But some of the most fun I had this year, like I said before, is from like small card shows, like you know, random firehouse shows, you know, for example. And like that's the most fun that I had. Not these large card shows that we go to and I bring my kids to, but just the smaller ones you can maybe walk through in like 20 minutes. But, you know, just talking and getting to know people that, you know, have the same interest as you is the main thing that why I'm doing this hobby, and hopefully why that you're doing this hobby as well. And that leads me into connecting with real collectors, my last segment. And this hobby started with kids, you know, trading at lunch tables. And now walking through card shows, it kind of feels like that, just on like a bigger sense. And you meet like old school set builders, you know, that are 60 or 70 or even 80 years old. You meet parents who are living like, you know, the 90s with their kids or the 80s with their kids. And you realize that you're not doing this alone, and you're not in it alone. And that just makes the overall hobby experience even better. And that's why I do that. And a quick story, I ran into a guy wearing the same 1993 Dale Earnhardt shirt that I had when I was a kid. And we ended up talking for like 45 minutes, talking about insert sets and racing, of course, too, but like junk wax and all this kind of stuff, just talking and getting to know each other. And now we follow each other on Facebook and stuff like that, which is a crazy thing. I'm not Facebook, on YouTube, and he follows his channel and stuff like that, so I'm sure he's watching. And try doing that in an eBay message. Try doing that even in YouTube comments. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to gauge how you're talking. It's easier to talk face to face. It's easier to get to know people face to face than through like a YouTube message. So that's like the main thing I wanted to kind of leave for you with that, with connecting with real collectors. And now that leads us into the top 6, summer shows that you shouldn't miss. I did top 5, but I wanted to kind of put it around the country so everybody has a chance. If you're living in like California or New Jersey or Florida or Texas, I try to give you some areas on where these main card shows are at. And this is kind of what I'm going to put in the Insider Club too. So make sure you comment Insider so you can get like the actual listing of all that stuff too. So here's my top 5. The first one is the National. That's in Cleveland, Ohio, and that is on July 23rd to the 27th. This is like the Super Bowl of card shows. If you've never gone this year, if you don't go this year, you'll be 1 year older when you do. So that's a little clip from like Warren Miller when he used to say, if you don't go skiing this year, if you do it next year, you'll be 1 year older when you do. So I used to watch Warren Miller films with my dad, and all the time when we were kids, and ski films and stuff like that. So they were always fun films to watch, and he always had cool sayings like that. The second one is the East Coast National. This is in White Plains, New York, from August 15 to August 18. Very family friendly show that you can go to. The third one is Dallas Card Show. That's in June 28th to the 30th. So that's very, very soon, next week. And August 9th to the 11th. There's the second one. They have big volume, low pressure trades, tons of kids and content creators that go and visit these places. So that's a big card show in the Dallas area. Number 4 is the Philly show, and that's on September 27th, 29th. I just know it's in the autumn, but at the end of summer, this 27th, 29th, school starts. You might want to go to a show for a weekend. That's in Oaks, Pennsylvania. That has very, very heavy on vintage, growing fast with even wax and even modern dealers as well. Number 5 is the Nashville Sports Cards and Collectibles show, and that's on July 13th to the 14th. And that's a very, very underrated scene. I've been there last year. It's growing fast, and it has very collector focused areas in that show, which is a great thing. Number 6 is the Burbank Card Show, my last one. That's in Ontario, California, on August 29th to September 1st. And that's the biggest West Coast card show period. Now, if you're in your area, there's always places like have firehouse shows or like local just like card shows in your town. I would definitely suggest going to them first instead of going to these big national shows. But try to get your feet wet. If you've never been to a card show, go to the small ones first, interact, and then you can kind of branch out and go to these larger ones, because some might have to fly there or drive there for a few hours if you're around the area. So you don't want to waste your time if you're not really experienced with that stuff. So if you think on going to a card show, do it. I mean, whether it's a big event or at your local fire hall, the hobby feels different when you are out there shaking hands with people, when you're out there digging into different boxes and seeing it all live and how popular sports cards are now in 2025. So if you go to a card show, let me know what you think, what you guys thought. If you go to those card shows, send it in the comments when you go, and shoot us a message on sportscardhustlers@gmail.com. And I love reading all your messages. You guys do it all the time, so it's a great thing. And this channel is growing crazy, and I love it. And hopefully you guys are enjoying the content, because it takes a lot of time for me to make all this stuff and talk to you guys about it. And hopefully you're learning something at the same time. So that's the main thing why I want to do this channel, and to get to know you guys as well. So I appreciate you guys watching, and we will talk to you next time. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. If you go to a card show, let me know. Comment Insider, and I'll send you that link. Talk to you guys later. Do it for Dale. Peace.